How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews back with another review. And today we're going to be doing a little side-by-side action in the form of Tröegs Troegenator. I actually reviewed this before. Probably, based on when I'm recording this now, probably uploaded it about a couple weeks ago. But anyway, if you want to see my full review just on Tröegs Troegenator, you can go back and check that out. But we're going to be doing Tröegs Troegenator and its Bourbon Barrel aged bigger brother. Huge fan of Tröegs Troegenator. Like I said, if you watch the review, you already know. One of my favorite American-made doppelbocks, and it's also one of my favorite value beers for the money. You know, we'll all pay what we want for really, really good beer. But Troegenator is a really nice beer. I believe I graded it at 90. It's like $10, $11 for a six-pack. And to me, price point, value, availability, the whole nine, off the charts. So I'm a big fan of it. About a year or so ago, Tröegs, probably more like 2 years ago, considering when it was bottled and aged, Tröegs decided to bourbon barrel age it. It's a little bit of an experiment, I guess you could say, because usually in a perfect world you would make a beer to barrel age, and this beer's been around for a long while. Who knows, maybe I tweak the recipe a little bit. And then they do a lot of scratch brews, and I believe this is one of them. But anyway, scratch brews is experimental stuff. Anyways, they decided to bourbon barrel age Troegenator. Since I am a huge fan of Doppelbocks, a huge fan of Troegenator, I ended up procuring 2 bottles of it. And I drank one immediately when I got it. This is a little bit too green for me, a little bit too hot. It needed some time. So I figured to give it some time, and this being January 2015, and this being bottled on January 2014, about a year in the nose, figured might as well review it, because I've been dying to try it since it's got a little time on it now. So yeah, there we go. We're going to do a little side-by-side. Regular Troegenator, Bourbon Barrel Aged Troegenator. As far as what it says on the bottles, Tröegs Brewing Company, our flagship Doppelbock, is a dark lager with a bready malt aroma and a rich, chewy body. Troegenator pours with a deep bronze hue, releasing a warming sensation and subtle spicy flavors. Troegenator Doppelbock beer, 8.2% alcohol. Tröegs, Hershey, Pennsylvania. And that's about it. Cool label, too. I dig it. It's got like a dude on the front. Don't know what you would call that. It's kind of like a, I don't know. I mean, he has horns for the whole Bock deal, but it's just an old dude with horns. There you go. Cool label. Dig it. As far as what it says on the Bourbon Barrel Bigger Brother. Troegenator Doppelbock beer. Tröegs Brewing Company. Let's see. 750. Beer aged in bourbon barrels. Government warning stuff. Bottled January 2014. This bourbon barrel aged version of our flagship year-round Troegenator Doppelbock is a dense, chewy, and captivating. Aged in bourbon barrels for 6 months, Troegenator emerges from hibernation as a lush Doppelbock with undertones of vanilla, oak, and toasted coconut. Cheers. And yeah, so yeah, label-wise, way more nondescript, way more basic. I dig it. You know, on the back you can see bottle 2014. It's just about a year out, so I'm super excited to get into the world. Now, I love this beer. Like I said, I've had this one before, but the fact that it's been barrel aged. Well, I had it before and it was a little too green for me. It just knew it needed a little bit of time. So now I'm just getting super excited to see what it's like now. And this is the only one I'll ever have of it. I mean, it's kind of weird to do a review because I'll probably never get it, considering how, you know, rarity it is. I mean, it went off pretty well, so I assume they're going to do another run of it. You would assume so. But yeah, hopefully they do. And you get to try it. So let's see if we can coordinate this little hand-eye coordination action. Very similar out of the bottles. Very, very, very similar as far as color goes. Go with the regular Troegenator first. Really not super dense. It's clear. Has a little bit of carbonation going on. It doesn't have any kind of cloudy, hazy density, unfiltered density to it that I usually covet in my Doppelbocks. But then again, like I said, I do love this beer. So, that is not indicative of taste in this account. So yeah, nice orange reddish hue. A little bit of a head on it. And that was about it. It looks quite nice. As far as its barrel-aged cousin, had a little bit bigger head on it, or similar head to it. Color-wise, it's identical. haze, it's got the slightest haziness to it. You probably won't be able to pick it up in the camera, but side by side, they are. This one does have a little bit. The barrel aged version does have a little bit more cloudiness, density to it, ever so slightly. A lot less carbonation too, which you kind of expect from a barrel aged beer. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what she has on the nose. The regular one. Just beautiful. I mean, it's that rich, malty, caramelly, nice maltiness, nice breadiness. Just a beautiful sweetness to it. Almost like cherries in there. And like your typical doppelbocky smells. Probably a little bit sweeter than a typical German-based doppelbock, like your like a celibate or something like that. A little bit more sweetness to it. A little bit more fruitiness to it. Yeah, so it smells quite nice. Let's see. Bourbon cousin. Ooh! Oak and bourbon. Oak and bourbon. Wow. Getting them side by side like that, it just shows you the difference. Wow. It's like a really nice rich bourbon too. And that oakiness is there. It's very balanced. I remember last time being, I think it was more oak forward, and this is going off memory almost here, like I said. But yeah, I think it was a bit more oak forward. And the mouth, and the nose, equal amounts bourbon and oak. And that's still nice double-bock bready sweetness is there, so that's quite nice. That smells delicious. Smells delicious. Dive right in. Regular Troegenator. It's a really nice beer. Like I said, huge fan of it. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it. Not super duper overly creamy, but it's got a really nice mouthfeel. Nice sweetness to it, but not overly sweet. Almost like a nuttiness there that you kind of get in your doppelbocks typically. And not as much fruit in the mouth that there was in the nose. And you can watch this and go back and see my other review. I'm probably totally different this time. But yeah, it's a really nice beer. Nice body, nice taste, nice everything all around. Like I said, one of my favorite American-made doppelbocks. And overall, just value, and I do the whole value availability scale thing. It's just off the charts. Really nice. Let's see what the bigger brother, cousin, whatever I called it earlier, has to offer. That aged really, really well. It's not an in-your-face, like the bourbon and oak are equal in the nose and the mouth. It's a little less in the mouth than it is in the nose, but it's super, super blended really well. It's beautiful. It's as close. This is a really nice beer as far as just balance goes. From the Doppelbock, which is kind of like I said, touched on earlier. Usually, if you're going to barrel age stuff, you kind of plan around it and you brew a beer that you're going to barrel age. This is it tastes like that. It tastes like they took a purposely barrel aged beer and barrel aged it, because the Doppelbock is there, the oak is there, and the bourbon's there, all equal parts. It's like a third, a third, a third. It's perfect. It's an absolute fantastic beer. I'm going to have to go back and forth on these. I mean, obviously, all the flavors in this are a third in this, is pretty much what I'm getting at. So, they're quite a bit different beer-wise, but they're not light years apart. I mean, they're a similar mouthfeel, just a hair more to this one, as you would expect from the barrel aging, but this is just almost like, not to go Miller Lite, but it's like, nice beer, barrel aged beer. It's a perfect example of what barrel aging does to a beer, which is kind of cool. If you think about it, I'm going to take a sip of this one and go back on this one real quick. Hold on. It's really nice. It's a really cool example to see because you get a lot of barrel-aged beers. Now, what are you saying barrel-aged beers? There's either barrel-aged beers or non-barrel-aged beers. Not a lot of people take a specific beer and barrel-age it. I mean, they do, but it's nice to see this transition. Usually it'll be like specifically made for barrels, like I said. So while it's cool and it's awesome to make a beer that's specifically going to be barrel-aged, it's cool to see the difference between a regular one and a barrel-aged version. So yeah, just fantastic. Let's see what she has going on here legs-wise. I mean, they look very similar. Like I said, it's not all that big of a difference. This one probably a little legsier. But coloring-wise, like I said, it's just got that slight bit of haze going on. That's about it. Overall, really nice beer. Just dialed up, fantastic beer. Bourbon and Oak and Spades. Rating wise, 90. I know that. I'm pretty sure that's what I rated it before. I'm gonna have to give this a 94. It's just uber drinkable. Like, it's not heavy at all. There's no booze there whatsoever. Like I said, I'm guessing this is in around 11% range. I think that's what I read it being somewhere, somehow. So you're talking about 11% beer that jumped up from a 8.2%. So if this is 11 and change, you know, you're talking about a 3% increase. It's a big increase in booze, but no booziness whatsoever. Really nice mouthfeel. I know it's slightly elevated on this one. You're getting that more breadiness, more slightly dark fruitiness, nuttiness on this one as opposed to this one. Not that it's not there, it's there, but there's that bourbon and that oak that are kind of like, not canceling it out, but being equal parts. Just make it a super well balanced, super great barrel-aged beer. So 90, 94. I mean, that's not a huge jump in grading, but for me, it's, I'm sure everybody's like this. It's way easier to go from 80 to 85 than it is from 85 to 90 and then 90 to 94. It gets harder as you go along. So for me, that's quite a big bump up. So yeah, it's a fun side-by-side to do. I've been waiting to do it for forever. So that's just pretty badass in general. And I get to finally crack this. And yeah, just fantastic beers. If you ever have a chance, I mean, if you've never had Troegenator before and you like doppelbocks and you like beers of that nature, you owe it to yourself to give it the whirl. If you ever see this floating around in some random place that somebody kind of sold it to somebody, or you find it floating around, you know, you do yourself a favor and pick one up. Or if they come out with it again, I mean, I assume they should come out with it again since it kind of was a big hit, so we'll see what happens. But if they do, definitely pick one up. I highly recommend either of them. So yeah, it's another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. I certainly did. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or anything like that, please leave in the comment section below. If you'd like to check us out anywhere else on the internet, you can on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Massive Beers. Untapped too. Massive Beers. All four of those places. And yeah, another review down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying some nice beer right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.